So I bought a car, and this is pretty much against all the popular advice that you get online.
I haven't had a car in 10 years.
New cars are a financial triple threat.
Cars are a huge wealth killer, and the reason is that a lot of our society attributes success to having a really nice car.
I'm sure if you are planning to buy a car, then you must have come across a video like this where the common understanding is that buying a car might not be the best financial decision. And I kind of agree to that because owning a car is an expensive affair, like right from the upfront cost that you have to put in terms of down payment, or even the running costs such as maintenance, the fuel costs, all of these, it is quite heavy on the pocket. But if you are somebody like me who absolutely loves driving and is passionate about cars, then I think there are some other factors as well that you might want to consider before making the decision of whether or not you want to purchase a car. And today in this video, I'm going to exactly discuss about this. So, just because you're passionate about cars, that doesn't mean you'll mindlessly splurge all your money. But at the same time, it also doesn't mean that you'll just put off this idea because maybe it's not the right financial decision. There are ways to actually make it happen. And I want to share how I could achieve this. And with the right kind of planning, you can do it too. So, quickly, let's look at the three important factors that I think everybody should consider before making this decision. One is definitely the obvious one, the financial factors. But then the second one is a little non conventional set of things that I think are equally important that nobody really talks about. And then the third set is the important question of whether you should be going for a first hand car or are you just better off with a second hand one. So let's start with the financial factors. So when we are talking about finances, we're majorly looking at the upfront cost or the down payment or the running costs, which are, the fuel, maintenance, insurance, and all of these things. And the major question that most of us will get while paying the down payment is that, instead of paying for a car, why not just invest this money and let it grow, right? Honestly, even I had that question. But in my case, it was a little clear for me because think about this. I was a student just out of college and got my first job and started earning, right? And it's relatively very easy to say that, even if you don't know much about stock market or real estate, you can just invest a basic SIP every month in a blue chip stock or a ETF or something like that, and it'll grow at a safe 12 or 15% every year. It sounds good, but as somebody who has no experience in stock market or real estate, it's really scary to put your hard earned money all at once without having much knowledge about stock market, right? Because yes, if done in the right way, you do get a lot of good returns, but there are also a fair chunk of people who lose a lot of money in these things. So the way I went about it is, so when I started earning, let's say this is the amount that I used to save, then initially I started out by investing only a little amount of that savings into stock market, and gradually as I gained more experience and knowledge and I also became more confident about investing, I started increasing the amount that I was investing into the market. And this delta that I saved up was the amount that I used to purchase my car. Okay, so first of all, how did I end up saving so much to begin with? Well, I would say I got lucky because I graduated from college in 2020 and this was the COVID times. So I used to stay at home. I didn't travel much. I didn't have any expenses. I didn't have to buy groceries or pay rent, or I didn't even have anything to spend lavishly on. So all that kind of accelerated my ability to save up for my car. I'm pretty sure if this was not the case, then I would have probably taken a bit longer to purchase my car, or maybe have bought a smaller car instead. But luckily, I was in this situation where, I was in a way forced to save more by design rather than by choice, which kind of accelerated my ability to buy the car. But then there's another question that can arise that, yeah, you didn't have the knowledge early on, but now that you have the knowledge, you could have just saved up this money and started investing it now. And I'd say that's fair enough, but that's a personal call that I took to, in a way where I'm kind of balancing between my finances and also purchasing things that give me joy. And then there's the cost of ownership. And trust me when I say it, this is so underrated because people usually account for the upfront cost, but they somehow don't seem to calculate for this, or even if they do, they underestimate it by a huge margin. We're talking about fuel costs. We are talking about insurance, maintenance, and even the toll taxes. I mean, toll taxes are so underrated because definitely if you're buying a car and I'm assuming you like driving, then it's not like you'll just park your car and keep it in the basement or something like that, right? You'll definitely go out, and trust me, the amount of money you'll spend on toll taxes is unimaginable. I mean, I'm happy that the road conditions in India are improving, but the tolls part is still quite painful. So whenever you're deciding to buy a car, I would personally say that please account for all these expenses as well, and do not end up stretching yourself so much for the down payment that later on all these expenses, might seem a little daunting. Personally, I like to keep all these expenses below 25% of my monthly income. That is a number that I'm comfortable with, and mostly that's something that's recommended as well. But you can come up with a number that is comfortable for you depending on the other expenses or the responsibilities that you have. Okay, so all these are very common, everybody talks about it, but there is something more important that I wanted to talk about, and these are the non conventional things, starting with the joy of riding. I mean, if you're a true enthusiast, then you'll know what I'm talking about. The joy of sitting behind a wheel and just driving is something that you can't really put a price on. And if you really thoroughly enjoy this experience, then it's totally worth it. I feel buying a car is more of a financial mishap when you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Something like maybe as a status symbol or maybe for the fame. There are people who might enjoy that as well. I'm not commenting on that, but at least for me, those don't seem to be the best of decisions. But if you're somebody who really enjoys driving, then I would say totally go for it. Because see, we all have limited money. I mean, sure, if you had surplus amount of money, you could splurge on everything, then why not? But I'm assuming most of us, unfortunately, are not in that situation. So, in that case, when you're spending money, at least I personally believe in optimizing the joy to spend ratio, where it's always preferable to spend on things that actually give you joy than to spend on things which are maybe just to please other people. So, in that regard, I do not regret one bit spending any money on my car. Okay, the second thing I wanted to talk about is timing. So, more or less, everybody does end up getting a car at some point in their life. Maybe because they need it for their family or because of the climate and all that pollution, something. And as we age, the number of responsibilities and dependents keep increasing. Because of which, let's say if you have some money to spare right now, getting done with a major expense such as car early on in life does not seem like such a big bad idea, especially if you're not sure where to invest your money and park your money as of now. This is even more true in cases where you intend to use this car for a long period of time, and you're not one of those people who just keeps selling and switching their car every 3 to 4 years. And then definitely there's the confidence of owning a vehicle, where there might be a lot of situations where there might be people in your family who might need critical medical attention, and just having a vehicle in hand gives you that peace of mind that you can attend to any medical emergencies whenever you want. And even if not for emergencies, I feel that many times we do think that okay, if I don't own a car, I can always rent out a car or book a cab and go for trips and all that. But the way I look at it is, when you have a car, you end up making so many impromptu trips just because you have a car and just because you can go. And these impromptu trips are the best kind of trips. When you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going, you're just driving, you're having a good time and you're having fun. I think times like that make it completely worth it. And the last reason is a little bit of a personal reason, where you might have heard of the saying which says that you should dress for the job. I also kind of believe in that, where I feel owning the car that I dreamt of kind of motivates me in a way to even work harder and perform better to achieve my bigger dreams as well. So I don't know, it's just a personal thing, and I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. Okay, so moving to the last leg of the video, why did I choose a first hand car over a second hand one? Where usually it's believed that the second hand car has a better ROI because the first owner usually takes the biggest hit on depreciation. So the second hand car becomes more lucrative in terms of value. But this is where, I feel that you should not go blindly by what people are saying, and maybe also consider the current market situations and do your own research. Because so when I bought my car, this was like post COVID times where the semiconductor shortage was going on, because of which the second hand car market just was crazily inflated. The prices of second-hand cars were probably just 15 to 20% below the first-hand car, and such a small delta didn't really make sense to opt a second-hand car. And also one more thing is that when you're making this choice, you should also consider the fact that the prices for cars, the first-hand cars, also keep going up. What I mean by that is, when I bought my car, its price on road was around 16 lakhs, but the same car today costs 16 lakhs 85,000. So in the past 1 year, the price of this car was jacked up by 85,000. So yeah, buying a brand new car, I did take a hit on the depreciation, but the actual price of the car is also increasing in the market, because of which, if I have to sell my car in the future, I'll obviously be discounting it with the current price that's in the market, right? And especially in Indian market, it is expected that the prices of cars will continue to increase for a while. So probably that is also something that you might want to consider before making this decision. Well, that was pretty much my take on how I decided to buy my car. And I was extremely careful with my words throughout this video because I understand how bad debt can ruin lives. And in no way do I want to promote reckless spending. And honestly, neither was this video to brag. Then, what was the intention of this video? It is just to put it out there that as much as financial freedom is important, so is living life. And if you have a goal, you can plan to make it happen from wherever you're starting. You don't really have to stick by a financial formula. You can understand these things and add a layer of your own judgment and take the final decision. Because honestly, your situation might be very different. Maybe you can afford a bigger car, or maybe for now you can just afford a second hand one, or maybe it will take a while before you can buy one. But if it is genuinely something that you enjoy, then it is definitely worth building towards it. So, is buying a car a bad financial decision? Well, it's not that simple. It depends on your situations, financial planning, and also what actually brings you joy and utility. Just make sure you're not doing it for the wrong reasons. Like for me, my car is more than just a cost. It's a hobby and a source of joy. And sure, you might have to cut corners in other aspects, but is it worth it for you is something that you should ask yourself. What about you? Have you made a purchase that others questioned but was right for you? Drop your stories in the comments and I'd love to read them. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this video interesting, please like, subscribe, and click on the bell for more insights. Drive safely and keep following your passions.